Coming up in today's episode.
We went to something we have never done before, which is a fish massage. We just
Send help. The temple experience this time was so shocking and gripping because these temples no longer are active, but you really get a sense of the sereneness, the sacredness, and the holiness of the temples.
I must say, it is a small country, number one. You don't get a lot of international kind of things. Even in Vientiane, where we went, which is actually like the biggest out of the entire Laos, it's really not a big country, but that made everything so affordable. It really is incredibly cheap.
We're Quentin and Vientiane, two guys trying to visit 40 countries before we turn 40.
We're taking the world on by trying to explore different countries, cultures, food, and by being as adventurous as possible.
We decided to film all of this for our future selves to look back on for one day when we are older. So let's go on a Kiwi travel adventure.
Hi future Quentin!
And hi future Vientiane!
And to all our friends and family watching, and today we are taking you to Laos, Vientiane, Cambodia! And then the day finally came for us to go to a new country, Laos, and more specifically Vientiane, which is the capital of Laos. So we flew again from Don Muang Airport in Bangkok, which was truly an awesome airport. I think it's actually a bit better than the bigger airport, the Suvarnabhumi Airport. But then once we got to Laos, we quickly went through customs, and then obviously we grabbed a taxi, which they don't have Bolt or Uber. They have something called Loca. So we took the Loca, and then we went to our hotel, which was just a 10-minute drive away. So we have just arrived in Laos, in Vientiane, and this is our room. So let's have a quick look. This is the Varela Boutique Hotel. First up is obviously our bathroom over here. Got our sink, toilet, and a separate shower, something which is very needed in Southeast Asia because you don't get a lot. Then we've got the bedding over here, nice big double bed, king size. It looks like it with some paintings, and then our lights, our cupboards, at least that we could put our stuff in. But next to that, here's like a little working space, working area with some goodies and stuff, which you'll probably have to pay for. Then obviously we have the TV. And that's that. Let's enjoy our 2-day stay here in Laos, another new country, and in Vientiane. From there on, we couldn't keep waiting, so we went to our first thing to see in Laos, which was literally called That Dam Stupa. So yes, these type of buildings are called stupas, and this is one of the very first. It was actually covered in gold way back in the day, but yes, this is what it looks like now. And it is said that there was a large serpent, as they say, that actually protected it back in the day. So yes, this was an awesome first stop. And then from here on, we took a stroll on our way to the big thing that we wanted to see for the day, which is the Patuxai. But on the way there, we saw literally, it just sprang upon us, which was beautiful art just along the way, depicting the spirit of Laos, which was so cool because they only use artists from Laos to do these murals, which was quite cool to see. And then we came into the main street, which literally felt like being back in Paris, as the Patuxai literally looks like the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. So this main street literally felt like the Champs-Élysées, just like in Paris, and we walked along the way until we finally got to the awesome Patuxai. Now it literally almost looks like the Arc de Triomphe, but obviously it's got a Laotian flair to it, which is quite beautiful. So this building they basically made in commemoration of when Laos became independent from the French, and this is the building they decided to put up for that. So that was quite cool to see. But then Vientiane wasn't really feeling well actually on this day, So we started looking for food, and this is when I realized for the first time we are truly in Laos and in a different country where it is difficult to find food. They have no McDonald's, so I started searching for food. There was nothing around us, even close to this big tourist monument, which was quite sad. So what we started doing is we started heading to the night market, which we went to for that evening, and then we strolled upon the Sanook Cafe, which we are very happy that we found. So Sanook Cafe is basically like the Starbucks, as they don't have a Starbucks or McDonald's or Burger King or any of those kind of things. So this was it. It's almost like Highlands coffee from Vietnam. So that was quite nice, and we quickly had a bite there before we then strolled through the night market, which was right on the opposite side of it, which was quite cool to see. So what we did was, at each and every new country and place we went to, we made sure that we went and got t-shirts, which then we got these t-shirts specifically for Laos so that we can wear that the next day.
A new day arrived and it was time for us to go temple hopping, and our first stop was Phra That Luang, which was the Golden Stupa, and throughout the ages it's got a quite incredible history. Now inside the temple it held a Golden Stupa, and in this Golden Stupa is believed that one of the relics of Buddha is kept there. Now this temple is also it's the national symbol and on the notes of the money in Laos. Inside you will see all along the wallway there is pictures depicting the history of the stupa and all the people who played an important part in keeping it in its good shape that we see today. And you will also see all the ruins of all the other Buddha statues that were there and how it was ruined throughout the years. So that was quite interesting to see, and it was also very beautiful to see the detail it kept throughout all of these years. And right next to this temple was another beautiful temple, and as you entered you were greeted by these beautiful golden Buddhas, which led all the way to the reclining Buddha, which was just so incredible to see. This was really very beautiful to see this Buddha. And then in this temple complex you will also find a statue of King Anu Vong, which was the main guy that made sure that this stupa remained in perfect condition throughout the ages and fought for their freedom. Then also on the same terrace you will have Hotama Sapa, which was a temple that was initially built to hold the Emerald Buddha before it was taken to Bangkok. From here we went to the local mall for a quick stop to eat something and for souvenir shopping, and after that we went to Wat Tat Pun, which was an incredibly beautiful temple, and we were so excited for it because we thought it was the temple that housed 1,000 Buddha, but it turned out it was the wrong one, as Google indicated it wrong. But this was another beautiful temple. Inside it had incredible gold and red decorations, and it had the most beautiful copper statue, which is the biggest bronze statue in Laos. After realizing we are at the wrong place, we then Googled again, and it was just down the street, the Temple of 1,000 Buddha, which is called the Wat Sisaket. We walked down and we reached it just in time, and we had 10 minutes to view everything now. And inside there were an incredible array of Buddhas, and it housed over 10,000 Buddhas, which is the largest collections of Buddha in the world. It was really an absolutely beautiful treat. After our 10 minutes and we got kicked out basically, we then just hung around and strolled around the temple gardens, and we just enjoyed the different and beautiful Buddha statues. After that we strolled down to King Anu's statue, which was at the river, which is bordering Thailand and Laos, and then we head off to dinner at a beautiful local place that served all Lao cuisine.
So, as always, when we are in a new country, we have to try their beer. So this is the beer Lao, and you can literally see it advertised everywhere. So, from what we've seen from other YouTubers, apparently this is the best one out of all the Asian countries. So, let's try.
Hopefully we become drinkers.
Maybe this is just another Casa Light, most likely. Not Casa Light, but a Casa Lager.
It's not familiar.
Black label. Black label. It's black label.
Really?
Yeah. And we had fried rib as well as a local dish, larb, which is minced meat salad. We had the chicken one. And we stopped for shawarma for just 8 rand at a local food stand called Piggy's. After that, we explored the local food market and then we walked down the river all the way home. This was an incredible, beautiful view as we walked down, and it really was the beautiful hub and center of Laos, which really is a booming and really lifelike city.
After that stroll, we then went back to our hotel because it was still hot at night, so we decided to go for a quick swim, which was awesome. And then the next morning we caught the plane again to go back to Bangkok on our way to Cambodia, as Bangkok became our resident stop because there are no direct flights between the routes that we wanted to take, and all of them stopped in Bangkok in any case, so we decided to make something of it. Now, Laos in conclusion, which this video is about, I must say it is really a small country, a small town. Even in Vientiane where we went, which is actually like the biggest out of the entire Laos, it's really not a big country, but that made everything so affordable. I mean, getting a shawarma for only 8 rand is absolutely ridiculous. Cokes and water was about 1 rand, 2 rand for a bottle of water. A bottle of Coke was about 5 rand, sometimes 4 rand. It really is incredibly cheap. So what we were saying while we were there is definitely Laos is a place that's going to become something in the future for tourists, and which will be swarmed by tourists eventually because it is so cheap, number one. Obviously the infrastructure is not really there in terms of it being for tourists, but it will get there. Currently it's undiscovered, but it's going to be discovered and more people are going to go because it's so cheap, and there are some stuff to do once I think they get it up and running for tourists more specifically. But I do think the amount of days we were there was perfectly fine. I don't think we needed to be there for any longer, as it still needs to develop. Maybe if we went to other parts in the country, yes, but for Vientiane this was perfect.
First, we arrived back at Bangkok airport, and which was the Don Muang airport, and we took a flight with Air Asia. It was a very quick flight. On the plane, boarded, and we received the forms to fill out for our visas. As soon as we were done with that, we basically landed in Cambodia. Thereafter, we landed at immigration and went off to our hotel. Right after this, we took a 10-minute walk to the city center of Siem Reap, and we started scouting for, number one, shirts, because the next day for our beautiful temple day, we wanted to make sure that we have our shirts on for that occasion.
From there on, we just explored some of these sites, and then we looked for a place to have dinner, of which we decided to go for traditional street food, which we are so happy that we did. So the first thing we had was obviously just a quick Nutella pancake, or the Cambodian version thereof, and then we settled at the family restaurant or stall with these tiny chairs and tables literally on the side of the street. And then we had some smoothies from the lady which was just next door to them. And then first off we had some spring rolls, and then we had deep fried mushrooms, the forest mushrooms, which was absolutely awesome. And then we had like a beef stir-fried pork, which is a lok lak that they called, which is also a traditional Cambodian food, as well as the local chicken curry, which is called amok. And then, which was quite interesting to see, is that these food stalls, all of them were basically a scooter that was attached to the food station, which was directly next to it, and it was all powered by a generator. So this was super cool. But yes, we were absolutely surprised with the food. It was truly amazing, and we couldn't wait to go back the next day. After dinner, we then took a walk up the street to go to the famous Pub Street, which is almost like the Patong Road that you get in Phuket, which was quite interesting. And then we just had to go for a quick massage, which was well needed, and it was a very strange Cambodian type of massage. But then we quickly went to the 7-Eleven to get some snacks for the next day to tick off a bucket list item. Good morning. It is a new day in the workroom, and we are on our way finally to Angkor Wat. We are just walking through everything. We have our tickets checked. and we are very excited. We just
Stand out. Now this is the main temple of the entire temple reserve. We walked around the temple, and now before we get into the temple, the history of the temple is it was Buddhist, then the Hindus came along and made it a Hindu temple, then the Buddhists took over and they made it a Buddhist temple, and then the Hindus took over again, and then the Buddhists finally took over again. And this detail is everywhere in this temple. Now as we arrive, the very first thing that you see is it in the distance, like a skyline. So it was so incredible. The closer you got to it, we saw the beautiful saffron figures just modeling all over the temple. So it was so wonderful seeing the monks there at this old temple. It was very, very beautiful, and it was so majestic, and it was just absolutely breathtaking to take in. While moving all around it on the outside, we got a glimpse of it in the reflection of the water just outside of it, and it was just again so beautiful. It is incredible to think that this temple is still standing after all these years. We went in. As we entered, it was kind of disappointing to see that it's not as kept as one would want these national monuments to be. There was not a lot of people there at all because we just arrived after the rush, which was wonderful, so we enjoyed most of the temple. We had it to ourselves. It was extremely hot, so hot that it was foggy, and the camera and our glasses kept on fogging up, so that was just ridiculous to think it was that foggy. Now the most wonderful part of this temple was the experience was like you were part of an Indiana Jones movie, and you're just busy exploring these ancient temples and ruins.
So yes, that was absolutely awesome going to Angkor Wat. It's one of the things I've always wanted to go to since I learned about it in school, as it is one of the ancient wonders of the world, and obviously the biggest religious complex in the world, which was truly awesome to see. But then from there on, we had some more stops during the day. First off, we went by the Western Gate as we drove to the next temple, which was truly beautiful to see with all of these faces, and it gave us a little glimpse of our next temple, which was the Bayon Temple. Now the Bayon Temple is basically iconic for all the many faces. There's about 54 faces, if I remember correctly, that are basically lined throughout. So this is also another temple that is there, but what makes this one so unique is, apart from all the detail with all of the faces and so on, is it literally felt like you were inside a video game, like a Minecraft video game. It truly felt that way as you are walking through it and so on. But it was truly so beautiful to see. It was super hot, make no mistake. And then the one thing that chased us away, just like the same thing that chased us away in Uluwatu when we were in Bali, were the bloody monkeys. The monkeys are freaking everywhere here, and we sort of started hopping away from them, but yeah, they started wreaking havoc, so we just left. But I think we saw what we wanted to see at the Bayon Temple. Then from there on, we drove to our next one, which is also extremely famous, and it is the Tapron Temple. Now the Tapron Temple is actually more well known in recent years as the Tomb Raider Temple, because this is where the Tomb Raider film was shot with Angelina Jolie. Now, to be honest, it truly felt like you were on a movie set while you were here. It's so spectacular. It just makes absolute sense why they actually filmed the movie there. It is truly so beautiful. It's a lot bigger than we thought it would be. I think we spent about 2 hours and we just left because we had to, because of our driver that we had. But it was truly, the 2 hours that we spent there was so majestic and beautiful. I think what struck us the most is the way in which nature literally took over over this temple. So there was an earthquake. That's what happened. They had everything built, and then there was an earthquake, and then they just didn't put everything back together way back in the day, and then everything basically started growing over this. Now this must have took very long, literally years and years, hundreds and hundreds of years, for these trees to be able, because it's not only the one tree. There's, I almost want to say, I would say close to 50 trees or so that is literally taken over. Nature is just completely taken over, but it made it so serene actually. And you hear the birds chirping, and which was awesome again, as most of the tourists already left, so there weren't a lot of people, and it was a perfect opportunity for myself and Vientiane just to take photos the whole time. Whenever we would see anything, we would just want to stop and say, oh, this is a photo moment, we have to stop here.
This is my video shot.
It was truly just so beautiful there. So that was truly one of the highlights of the day, most definitely. And which was also nice is because it's so overgrown and it's surrounded by a forest, it was a lot cooler at this temple than, for example, the Bayon temple, which was just straight up in the sun.
And after our incredible temple exploration, we went back to Siem Reap, and just to explore more of the city center, the first thing we checked out was the French influence buildings, which were just amazing. It was beautiful. It is just so captivating to see that, and very picturesque. After all of our souvenir shopping, we went for our dinner, which was at the same place that we were the previous night, and again we explored the traditional Cambodian food.
So after dinner we went to something we have never done before, which is something I've always wanted to do, which is a fish massage. There we go! Fish foot massage! Trying the local beer in every country, like always. This is the Angkor. We have not tried it yet, but this time we are trying it in a completely different setting with fish. That's the deal. You get a beer and the foot massage. That's very nice. So let's try the beer. Tastes just like any other beer in any other country. So we were actually supposed to be there for an hour, but we just couldn't. It's a very interesting experience, but we decided to rather go for a real foot massage, which belonged to the same place, which this one was truly incredible. It was absolutely awesome throughout our entire trip, in fact, to just have a foot massage first before ending off the day, especially because you walk around so much. It really helped our feet. So that was very nice. And then we just headed back to our accommodation, and the next morning we went back to the airport to go back to Bangkok. So in conclusion,
the temple experience this time was so shocking and gripping because these temples no longer are active, but you really get a sense of the sereneness, the sacredness, and the holiness of the temples, and it was just so incredible to still experience that while there. So yes, every temple experience is unique, it's beautiful, but this one was it just seeped deeper than any other temple experience. So that was the main beautiful thing, and that coupled with the people and the specific restaurant and dining experience we had, the people there, it is just so profound and beautiful to see people being so attached to who they are and the beauty of being human. So until next time, which will be in Istanbul next time on Kiwi Travel Adventures.
We are starting with our food tour,
and we are starting with the famous fish sandwich.
Not for me, it's very fishy.
Oh my god, this is amazing.
This is amazing. The chicken, the chop. They're the one thing that's really showing up the whole time, which is so cool, is the mosques are everywhere. But let's just turn, then you'll see another mosque, and with another mosque. So it's literally everywhere. It's so beautiful.